And so here I have three different examples I'm going to run through where I give some detail about the angles, some of the measures, and then we're going to be asked to find the rest of the ones in question here. So anything that's labeled with a number is what we're going to be looking for. And technically, we probably could find all the angles in here, but maybe just, maybe unnecessary to really go through all the detail, but maybe in the first one we will. So one thing I want to mention is that to represent a right angle, we often use this little box in the two rays or the two lines that make up that right angle. So this is assumed to be a right angle up here, which is 90 degrees. And then I have a 25-degree angle sort of cutting through those. And so then I have four other angles here to find. So what I want to do is find the measure of angle 1, measure of angle 2, and so forth. So let's start with the measure of angle 1. I know that this forms a 90-degree angle, and what's nice about 90-degree angles is that if I have one, I usually have four. I usually have three other ones, right? Because this angle on the left is supplementary with the one down here on the right containing both the 1 and the 25. Okay, so I know that this, this quadrant up here is a 90-degree angle, which tells me that 1 and 25 are complementary. They have to add up to the 90. So measure of angle 1 plus the 25 degrees must equal the 90 degree for that sum, for that total angle there. And so if I subtract off the 25 degrees from both sides, the measure of angle 1 is then going to be 65 degrees. Okay, so that would be a 65-degree angle to get the 90 sum. Now measure of angle 2, well, I know that angle 2 is vertical angle to the 25-degree angle, and they're congruent, which means their measures are the same. So measure of angle 2 is going to be equal to the 25 degrees. Okay, they're vertical angles. And then, let's see, angle 3 and angle 1 are also vertical angles, and so they have to be congruent with each other. So the measure of angle 3 must equal the measure of angle 1, which we know to be 65 degrees. And then angle 4 is vertical to the 90-degree angle up here on the top left, and so that's got to be 90 degrees as well. So measure of angle 4 is also equal to 90 degrees. So I have all my measures now of those four angles in question. Okay, let's move over to the next one. In these next two examples, we have some parallel lines, not perpendicular, but now parallel. I denoted the parallel lines with these little arrows. You can see where those fall. And then in this diagram, I have two transversals cutting the same two parallel lines. And the first transversal has a 75-degree angle. The second one has a 50-degree angle. And I'm looking for angles 1, 2, and 3 here. So as I'm looking at those, that is not easy to figure out, actually. Let's look at the 75-degree angle. I know that alternate interior angles are congruent. The 75 angle is an alternate interior angle with the angle 1, right? They're on the inside of the parallel lines, and they're on opposite sides of that transversal. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to 75 degrees because they're alternate interior angles, okay? Now that I know that this is 75 up here, and I know this 50-degree angle, all three of these angles combine to give me a straight angle. So the sum of the three must be 180. So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus that 50-degree angle must be 180 degrees. I already know that angle 1 is 75 degrees. And so I just solved this equation for the measure of angle 2. 75 and 50 is 125. So the measure of angle 2 plus 125 is equal to 180. If I subtract off the 125 from both sides, I will get, what is that, 55? Measure angle 2 is equal to a 55 degree angle, okay? So some of these you just have to give a little reasoning for, some of them you might have to do a little work, okay? And then angle 3 is important. What I'm noticing there, if I think about the transversal, if I just isolate one transversal, angle 3, this angle, is a corresponding angle to the one made up here by angles 1 and 2. Okay, just take a little creativity with that. And so I know that angle 3 must equal the sum of the measures of 1 and 2, right? So if I were to write that out, find some space here, measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2. I already know 1 and 2, I've found those. So that's equal to 75 plus 55. And 75 plus 55 is 130. Okay, so that gives me my third angle. So that's a 130 degree angle there. Okay, and then finally, my last example, the green one down here. Again, I have two parallel lines. I've got two transversals, but they don't intersect at the same point. They intersect somewhere off in the distance. And that's okay. Now I'm just going to deal with the individual transversals. I don't have to join them together. I can't really interact with the two transversals. So here, I know I have a 68 degree angle down here in the lower left. Its alternate, I'm sorry, said that wrong. So its corresponding angle, I'm just kind of thinking, there's a lot of different ways you could approach this, right? I could approach this with vertical angles, corresponding angles, alternate exterior angles, lots of different things I could do. I'm going to approach it with the corresponding angle idea and say that that means that this angle here is also 68 degrees. And I know that 68 degrees, this angle, is supplementary with angle 1 and with angle 2, which are vertical. So angle 1 and 2 must be equal to each other since they're vertical, and they're also supplementary to 68. So let's go with angle 1 here. Measure of angle 1 plus the 68 degrees must be 180. And so if I subtract off the 68, I'm going to get, what's that, 112? Measure of angle 1 is equal to 112 degrees. All right? Yeah, 112. And then I also know, I just mentioned that angle 2 is vertical, right? So measure angle 2 is also equal to 112 because they're vertical angles. Okay. Now I look up at angle 3 here and I notice that angle 3 and angle 53 are alternate interior angles. And so that tells me that they're congruent. So measure of angle 3 is equal to 53 degrees because they are alternate interior angles. Okay. All right. So that gives us all the solutions, all the things that I had up here that were unknown that we wanted to find have been found. Again, using the idea of complementary angles, lots of supplementary angles, your alternate interior, your vertical, your corresponding, and even alternate exterior. I didn't use that, but that could have been used in lieu of some of the other ones.